That building is for raising ducklings.
I was thinking that you raised them over on the other side there. So you feed layer pellets?
Yes, I do.
The birds? Who makes the layer pellets that you're
It's
feeding?
some local.
Local?
What percent of protein do you use?
16, 17%.
And that works, huh?
Yep.
I have been using 17. No, this is 16. I was thinking you're going to 20.
It's
No
not necessary
difference?
for waterfowl. Waterfowl, they tend to do the best around 16, 17%. If you're going to go 20, 20 is the highest I would go on it, but for maintenance and for breeding, 16, 17% is great.
Adequate. Oh,
And especially, if it's a layer pellet,
it is a layer pellet.
it's pretty much formulated for what we want to do with it. Oh, there's your African cow cranes there. So was this a design that you came up with, or did you just tell somebody to? That's a nice apiary. Did you ever come out and just wish that you had made it into a building? Or?
Not really. They're really good breeders. I hatch babies from 3 clutches from them.
So you have paramilitary macaws, or?
No, I only had that male. Oh my God, I don't know how. At least 40 or 50, 40 years.
40 years?
Mm-hmm. You had a female, and the guy who was working here let that aluminum foil blew up, that galvanized sheet blew off.
Yep.
And it was raining at, right at freezing, and she wound up dying.
Good.
But I never raised one.
Never raised one?
Never raised a military. The thing I can raise are, I raise green wings.
Oh, there's green wing up there.
Scarlet.
You have a pair of green wings there? Or is it just...
Yeah, she's on eggs.
She's on eggs?
Yeah, and they nest this time of year.
Yeah.
And the scarlets, I have a baby from last year, and I didn't take it away yet. And so
they haven't nested because
so she
you
hasn't nested. Exactly. Clyde, I have trouble with the parrots. I don't like selling these big, beautiful macaws to people that are going to keep them in a cage inside a house. They really need to be outside, and they deal with the cold and they deal with the rainstorms.
My mother raised parrots for years, and she had them in small cages, and we did put them outside, but there were still the small cages outside. And I mean, a lot of these parrot breeders in Florida they don't have them in big cages like this. They have them in small cages.
Yeah,
Have you ever read Conrad Lorenz, King Solomon's Ring?
No, I've read no.
So he kind of touches on that. It's great that Conrad Lorenz was great writing. I mean, this guy was really intuitive, and this really. But it kind of reminds me of Lorenz talking about lions in cages. Is it cruel to keep them in a small cage? And he's saying, no, it's not, because these birds or these animals in the wild are sitting there most of the day, and they're looking off into the distance.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, they don't need these huge cages
Yeah.
because they're looking off into the distance.
Right.
So same thing with these macaws. They're in the wild. I think that they have their little places they fly to. They might fly up to their clay banks or whatever to
Yeah.
to scoop out some clay and move. But they're not really highly, at least from what I know of them, and I'm not again no parrot expert, but I don't think they're a highly mobile bird where they get around and stuff. So if you think about it, I don't think that smaller cages are really going to have a huge psychological effect, provided that they have enough
Activities.
enrichment activities
Yeah.
in there. And that's one of the things I see here. I don't see eclectus, or it's kind of a different story, but I mean these birds are perfect feather here, and it's probably because they're they got things to do over here.
Yeah, right.
So,
you just have to go down through there.
so this is where you raise all your ducklings or anything that's
I raise them in the bathtub if it's dead of winter.
oh yeah, this is we're going in, right?
Yeah.
So is this
And so what I do is I will take this old sand out and bring in new sand, okay?
Uh-huh.
And that's, I actually pump water from the Waterfowl, that little pond that's back there, with a little tiny pump, and it just runs the right amount of water right down through the duck house. And these little green things, these little carpets, they prevent the ducks' paddle feet from bringing sand into they reduce it bringing sand into the,
so you just put this on both sides
both
of it?
sides, exactly.
So that would go right like that
Yeah,
on this side, and then you put another one on the other side.
right.
That's so how long do you keep them in these brooders here?
Until they're probably 4 to 5 weeks, just about to start putting feathers in, they go into that cage where there's a stream, and they clean up,
But there's a good chance they're waterproof just because you
Oh,
got a
they're
little bit
waterproof.
of swimming.
Yeah. But they still, I keep a heat lamp on the first day I move them.
So what is this? This one here is probably like 6 feet long by 4 feet wide, and this
Yeah.
one's about 4 foot by 5 foot or so. So how many birds can you house in each one of these brooders?
Well, I try to do it
10?
by species,
Yeah,
It
yeah.
depends on
Of
the
course,
clutch,
yeah.
of course. But it works out pretty well.
This is
I mean, when you look at Jacob's.
so. Yeah, I mean, this is really. I wish I had seen this years ago, because this is really it's an incredibly economic way to raise stuff
Yeah,
and do a good job raising
yeah,
stuff.
because
I mean,
you have a hole, and you can turn over the sand,
Yep.
when necessary.
yeah.
And you take the mats out here, there's a hose right there, and you wash it down. These things, they wash real easy.
Yep.
Hang them here and they're dry, and you just,
I mean,
Put it all back.
I've never seen anything like this, and it's incredible. It's
I mean,
no, I mean, it's just simple. It's so simple, and it's I'm stunned by it. I just never would have imagined something so simple.
yeah, and it works, it does work.
Yeah.
Not do that. I do not go around very much. I was a professor at the University of Texas at Austin, and I was in molecular genetics and microbiology, and that's a major research university.
Yep.
And your existence depends on the quality of the research you do, and you have to compete constantly by submitting research grants on your ideas, and it's reviewed by experts in that field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's incredibly competitive. So,
All your time was occupied.
your
with
time
the
is
university.
occupied.
So
In fact, the people, the professors that come out here just can't believe I could do this
and do what you're
with
doing.
that job,
So
And,
so I was never a big. I mean, I've been to a lot of places and over the years, but the past being with her, we upped it.
Yeah, well, it's a
we do
great
we do
idea.
our
It's a
traveling.
great idea.
And I've always, this is really our way of promoting aviculture, because we come to talk to people. One of the themes that I talk about with people all the time is you don't need a $1 million facility to do a really good job raising birds.
Right.
I mean, and something like this is just—it's amazing. When you find a
Yeah.
brooder setup that's simple, that everybody can do. I mean, that just shows you don't need $1,000, $500 brooders to raise stuff. You can, for $500, you can build a shed with some good
and
brooders.
actually, all of this came out of, these are all doors from I had the house renovated 35 years ago. Of course, it's about to fall down, but I'm sort of pushing
fall
the end of
down
my life.
another 40 years, 50 years.
So,
So how long did it take you to put all these ponds in when you were doing these?
I moved in here in 1972, and I had a home in North Austin, and so I had a collection of birds, maybe 20, 30, and so before I moved in, I hired a contractor to come in with a bulldozer, because this was all much more open, and dig out those ponds and run drains to them and all. And Clyde, at that time, I didn't know any better in terms of more people were doing it this way. They didn't have all aviaries years ago. This is a newer, more logical extension, so you don't have predator issues. And I knew I was moving to a really hot place, and so I felt that the ponds had to be deep.
But that was a mindset back in the
That was a
70s and 80s. Is you need deep water to raise birds.
Yes, exactly.
Especially if you're getting into
Ruddy ducks and
that.
The argument was ruddy ducks die if they're not in 3 feet of water.
Yeah, that's
that was
exactly
a total
that was.
misnomer. But but that's exactly what it was, and so that's how it evolved that way, And if I had it to do all over again,
Probably do the same thing if you were to do it all over again.
Huh?
If you were to do it all over again, knowing what you know now, you'd probably do the same thing.
Well, not really.
Do you really have any regrets with the way you set this?
Not really. Not really.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. This is a fantastic, layout. Who cares if you did 6-inch deep ponds? You know what you'd be doing every day?
Cleaning them.
You'd be out there cleaning them.
Yes. You see, in the other place I did have, it was solid rock. So the only thing I could do is have a bulldozer moving boulders, and build a
wall around it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was only about that. I had to clean it once a week,
Yeah.
And and so when I go to places like Jacob and that, and the ponds are only 10 inches deep, it just shocks me, But he's got a lot of water too.
That's what we do at our farm.
Yeah, everybody does that now.
Well, we have concrete ponds up north that we did like 2.5, 3 foot deep.
Oh, so you have some too.
Well, up north I would prefer them deeper. Because we run, especially if you don't run water in them in the wintertime.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that there's enough water in there, and because everybody's always worried about concrete ponds freezing in the wintertime and cracking. As long as you keep them full with water, even if you got ice on top, they don't typically crack. It's when you empty them out and you leave them empty in the wintertime that they crack.
Yeah.
But as far as like any of the ponds that we run water in, we have no issues whatsoever with it.